Amigas, amigos de Latinoamérica, bienvenidos. Hoy nuevamente al conversatorio, al número 13º conversatorio de Burós de Latinoamérica y el Caribe. Eh, el día de hoy un tema muy interesante, asociaciones y destinos internacionales, tendencias y estrategias para reactivarnos. Como siempre, contamos con la inestimable participación de nuestros consultores asesores, Graciela Padoín, Eduardo Chaillo y Ana María Vizcasillas, quienes siempre interpretan a nuestros invitados y les hacen las mejores preguntas. Contamos con el acompañamiento y el patrocinio, como siempre, de Park Hyatt Mendoza, Gaining Edge, Destinations International, IBTM Américas, Oficina de Convenciones y Visitantes de Monterrey, Destinos Brasil, José Cuervo, Truly 360 by Google, Meca Live, quien nos brinda, como siempre, sus estudios para poder proyectar esta hermosa tecnología que nos permite hoy nuestros encuentros virtuales y cada día mejorando. También contamos con el acompañamiento de iSimultánea y LAC Traducciones, quienes hacen hoy la interpretación del español al inglés y del inglés al español, como así también del portugués, del inglés al portugués e idem. Le vamos a dar la palabra a, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos. Dani, ¿me escuchás? Daniel,
Sí, Silvana. Hola a
¿cómo
todos.
estás? Bienvenido.
Muy bien, gracias. Muy contento de participar en este gran evento.
Bueno, gracias por acompañarnos. Contanos qué hacen ustedes para los burós de Latinoamérica, brevemente, así muy rapidito.
Claro que sí. Y simultánea se dedica a ofrecer el servicio de interpretación simultánea presencial y obviamente
No se ven las
ahorita,
placas.
permítame tantito.
No estamos viendo la pantalla, Dani, no sé. Hola.
¿Me escuchan?
Ahí te escuchamos, ahí te estamos viendo. Qué gusto.
Excelente. A ver, aquí está la pantalla. Ya pueden ver mi pantalla, ¿verdad?
Contanos qué tenés para innovar en estos conversatorios virtuales.
Claro que sí. Bueno, llevamos ya mucho tiempo ofreciendo el servicio de interpretación simultánea y actualmente lo hacemos a distancia. Tenemos una cartera de más de 80 intérpretes de varios idiomas y varias especialidades. Utilizamos la tecnología G1 System y tenemos experiencia de más de 1000 eventos operados. Y actualmente nos especializamos en la interpretación simultánea a distancia. Tenemos una excelente conectividad en nuestras oficinas, internet dedicado. Igual nuestras intérpretes vienen aquí con un estudio que las ayuda a que la voz se escuche perfecta y obviamente siempre tengan la conectividad para poder enviar la traducción a todos los organizadores de eventos que existen. Y es como actualmente estamos operando. También contamos con interpretación simultánea presencial y hacemos eventos híbridos, es decir, podemos estar en un evento presencial y tener a intérpretes en nuestra oficina transmitiendo toda la interpretación, y todos los que se encuentran en el evento de forma presencial pueden escuchar la traducción enviada desde nuestras oficinas. Y también algo que va a ser muy innovador y actualmente hacemos y va a funcionar mucho después de esta nueva normalidad son los eventos silenciosos, en donde podemos tener ese distanciamiento social, hacer eventos al aire libre, siempre escuchando todo el audio directo al oído de los espectadores. Eso hacemos en iSimultánea y estamos para servirle y apoyar a toda esta gran industria de los burós. Saludos a todos y
Gracias.
que pasen un excelente día.
Muchísimas
Gracias,
gracias,
Dani.
Daniel. Excelente producto y me parece maravilloso hoy poder estar escuchando a Daniel desde México, a Liam, que nos está acompañando desde San Pablo, Brasil, desde Holanda, Chloe, a John Silverson, también nos está acompañando desde Canadá, Ana María desde Puerto Rico, desde Estados Unidos, Eduardo y Graciela desde Argentina, como yo desde Argentina. Así que, bueno, un gusto. Liam, ¿nos escuchas? Que nos está haciendo la traducción del inglés al portugués para todos nuestros amigos de Brasil. Ahí, Liam, ¿nos escuchas? Quizás te tenés que cambiar de canal, Liam. Y si no, bueno, arrancamos con las presentaciones y luego le damos lugar a Liam para que nos cuente qué hacemos con los servicios de LAC Traducciones, ¿sí? Hoy nos acompañan, tenemos el honor de que nos acompañen John Sitverson y Chloe Menhit de ambos de Gaining Edge, esta consultora global que administra Best Cities. Es un honor para nosotros contar con su presentación, con su acompañamiento y de alguna manera, perdón, me entró una llamada, y de alguna manera que puedan contarnos hoy esto vinculado a cuáles son las tendencias y estrategias para reactivarnos, ya que ellos ya hay destinos que se han reactivado. Contarles también que no pueden perderse para mañana y pasado la participación en la próxima plaquita, por favor, en la convención anual de Destinations International. La próxima plaquita, por favor, de Destinations International, quienes nos han facilitado un código de descuento para todos los burós de Latinoamérica como si fuésemos miembros de su asociación. Por lo tanto, no se lo pierdan. Es la oportunidad que tenemos para poder capacitarnos y pensar nuestros destinos con la grandeza que nuestros destinos se merecen. Inviertan en capacitación, inviertan en ver cómo los grandes destinos desarrollan sus potenciales vinculados a la innovación y a las tecnologías. No se lo pierdan. También quería invitarlos al conversatorio del próximo lunes en el marco de la celebración del Día Internacional de la Amistad, 20 de julio, Día Internacional de la Amistad, y tenemos un invitado especial. Les quiero presentar su video.
Buenos días, soy Nayo Escobar y te quiero invitar el próximo 20 de julio a las conferencias que está dando el Burós de Latinoamérica, donde estamos celebrando el Día de la Amistad y hablaremos sobre crisis y cómo adaptarnos. ¿Estás listo?
¿En qué cámara estoy?
Te esperamos.
No se pierdan a Nayo Escobar, ya que hemos visto en redes un video que él produjo y que de verdad nos ha conmovido a todos vinculados a la crisis y al cambio. Por lo tanto, no podemos perdernos el conversatorio del próximo lunes. Es un empresario que tiene más de 170.000 seguidores en Instagram y que pertenece a nuestra generación. Por lo tanto, me parece fundamental que no se pierdan ese conversatorio. También queremos pedirles, vamos a dar cabida ahora a la presentación de John Sitverson, CEO de Gaining Edge Canadá. John se unió a Gaining Edge como CEO en octubre de 2019, con más de 20 años de experiencia en nuestro equipo. John trabajó anteriormente durante 4 años en Hong Kong, primero como líder de grupo de proyectos de capital e infraestructura para PwC y luego en consultoría de infraestructura para KPMG. Antes de eso trabajó en PwC en Canadá, Nueva Zelanda, Singapur, donde durante 7 años con ese grupo fue fundamental para lograr su estado actual como centro de excelencia en la red de PwC en el sudeste asiático, Hong Kong y China. Es especialista en asociaciones públicos-privadas, proyectos de APP, incluidas las finanzas y la asesoría de proyectos. En todos los casos, su trabajo involucró la gestión de equipos de consultoría, principalmente en relación de proyectos de infraestructura, y tiene una profunda experiencia consultando tanto a gobiernos como a desarrolladores del sector privado. John, además, tiene una licenciatura en Economía de la Universidad de Victoria y un MBA de la Universidad de Alberta, Canadá. Siguiente placa, también nos acompaña hoy Chloe Menhit, espero haberlo pronunciado bien, Chloe Menhitnik, que es asociada consultora de Gaining Edge y reside en Holanda. Chloe tiene 15 años de experiencia trabajando en la industria de las asociaciones, proporcionando liderazgo en todas las áreas de gestión y operaciones de la asociación, membresía, participación de la parte interesada, comunicaciones y marketing. Tiene varios puestos de liderazgo en juntas, organismos asesores y comités de expertos donde ha demostrado una experiencia efectiva en planificación estratégica e implementación. Chloe trabajó en la Asociación Internacional del Agua desde el 2005 hasta el 2018, donde fue responsable de desarrollar y ejecutar una estrategia de crecimiento de compromiso global para una red de miembros de más de 60.000 personas, incluidos miembros nacionales, empresas, universidades e individuos. Su experiencia en el ámbito profesional incluye la gestión y el liderazgo internacional y gestión de membresías, retención, crecimiento de membresías, gestión de cambios, planificación estratégica, programas, comunicaciones internas y gestión de marca. Como líder de pensamiento reconocido a nivel mundial en el sector de la asociación, Chloe es una oradora habitual en temas relacionados con la membresía, las comunicaciones, digitalización de eventos de la industria y también contribuye regularmente a revistas de la industria en temas que van desde comunicar el valor de la marca hasta el impacto y el legado de la asociación. Es miembro activa nominada de la Unión de Asociaciones Internacionales, UIA, y miembro de la Junta de la Sociedad Europea de Ejecutivos de Asociaciones, donde también preside el Comité de Comunicaciones y Membresía. Bienvenidos, John, bienvenida, Chloe. A partir de ahora ustedes pueden contarnos acerca de lo que desarrollan. Gracias.
Okay. So John and Chloe, if you want to start sharing your welcoming few words about this topic. Thank you.
So I'm having a bit of trouble hearing you, Grazie. Do you want me to start now?
Yes, please.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Listen, I'm very honored to be here today. As you saw, I'm John Sivertson. I'm the CEO of Gaining Edge. I'm based in Vancouver, Canada, so a little bit north of you. As you saw, we have Chloe Meninick here. Meninick, sorry, Chloe. Our partner for association consulting, and she's based in The Hague, Netherlands. First, I'd also like to thank Savannah as president of the association, David from Monterrey, Tony from Sao Paulo, as vice presidents of the association, for inviting Chloe and I to talk today. So thank you again. I'd also like to thank Graziella for supporting us throughout the years and to helping us put us together with the LATAM CVB Association. So first, who is Gaining Edge? Well, Gaining Edge has been around since about 2004. We're based in 7 cities around the world, so that allows us, we think, quite good global knowledge and really a local market understanding as well. We are a specialist consulting firm advising the international business events industry. We specialize in establishing and managing convention center bureaus, destination marketing organizations. We advise on the development and expansion of convention centers. We provide strategic support for associations. And frankly, we advise on all the broader aspects of the international meetings industry. So how we came to be on the call today is our Gaining Edge Scholar Program. So this is part of Gaining Edge's corporate social responsibility drive. Every year we partner with industry, usually an association or a destination, to help provide useful work experience to students who wish to pursue careers in the business events industry and to demonstrate outstanding potential for future industry leadership. So this year, we've partnered with LATAM CVB Association to help study the creation of an academic institute for the development of the business meetings industry. That's the title. So now, this institute is intended to help train Latin American bureau and destination executives and industry leaders, and really develop a platform and a standard for measuring the economic impact and the legacy of the industry. So that's what the study we're doing with our scholar in partnership with LATAM CVB is going to do. The scholar we've selected for this program is actually from Brazil. We just selected him on Friday, I think it was, last Thursday or Friday. And he'll be starting the project around July 20th. So I'd expect some of the people on this call, or at least your organizations, might be contacted as part of the stakeholder input component of the study. So I thank you in advance for your help with this, please. To set the tone for our talk today, I thought it'd be good to first run through what we're seeing in Asia, because that's generally seen as being the first region to begin reopening from COVID. There's been some fits and starts there, but we're now seeing a fair bit of action there and positive action, which is nice. So in Asia, we're really seeing a move towards regional collaboration. We're seeing travel bubbles starting to be formed, or at least discussed, and we're seeing significant support from the industry, from government. So I'll just run through a few of these points. You can kind of see what's happening and give you a bit of a flavor. Also, I should say that every week we gather together all the information we get from our contacts around the world, and we put it on our website so you can get kind of a summary. We make these quite concise, so you can see a summary of what's happening in Asia, in Europe, in North America. And so if you click through our website, that's a good spot for that. So first thing we're seeing right now is the business events associations in Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, the Philippines, and Indonesia have come together to help with recovery of the meetings and event sector. They're sharing protocols for the safe reopening of events. They're exchanging advocacy tactics and really working together so they have a consolidated view from all of the players in the region for how to approach reopening, in a safe and consistent way. Sending that message to industry that this is what it's going to look like. Sending the message to participants that this is what's going to look like if you come to any of these destinations. We're seeing discussion on short-term business trips between Thailand and key markets. So right now, Hong Kong and Thailand are talking about a bilateral agreement to create a travel bubble between these two destinations. And the short-term business travelers might be allowed in Thailand also from places like China, Japan, South Korea, and Singapore. So that would create a travel bubble for that region, which is pretty important right now. We're seeing the Thailand Convention Exhibition Bureau, so TCEB, unveiled a financial grant that gives event organizers access to US $500,000, so $500,000 in financial support, and equivalent value in complementary products and services from participating partners. They're calling this grant I'm People Focused, and it's quite a significant investment from government for the industry. TCEB has also launched a real-time news service. Now, this is dedicated to business events during the pandemic, and they've created a framework on operating procedures. So the website will have government insight, measures on the status of COVID in Thailand and worldwide, online resources for organizers and visitors, standards, and things like that. So it's quite a helpful way of, sort of educating, again, potential organizers and participants on what's going on, giving them that information they need to make informed decisions. Singapore, the Association for Convention and Exhibition Organizers and Suppliers, joined together with Singapore Tourism Board and Enterprise Singapore to work on a resilience roadmap. Now, this is going to serve as really an operational handbook as business events start up again in certain phases and stages. The roadmap is trying to focus on 3 objectives: obviously a safe, sustainable operating environment, strengthening capabilities for these guys to innovate and scale up events as we go on, and helping out, obviously, build the industry, a strong and vibrant industry, help drive future change so these events, again, continue to be safe, continue to occur. So that's something that Singapore has done quite well. They're also discussing with other destinations, other countries around the region, and looking at travel bubbles and looking at consolidating their advice, so again, so everybody's consistent across that region. Korea's doing some good investment in industry. They're providing show organizers with the cost of COVID prevention things such as masks, hand sanitizers, gloves, renting equipment like thermal imaging cameras, helping with disinfection costs. So they've budgeted about $200,000 US, and they've got apparently about 50 shows expected to receive this quarantine support funding. So that just gives you a little bit of idea what we're seeing in Asia, Southeast Asia specifically, that is slowly coming out of this. We're seeing events happening, we're starting to happen, events being organized. So there is light at the end of the tunnel there, I think we can say. That gives, so that's a bit of flavor on Asia. Chloe's going to go into a bit more insight from her experience in Europe after I speak. But today, Chloe and I'd like to talk about industry and how CVB'S can get past competing on rates, dates, and spaces, as we call it, and really understand what associations' pain points are and how you can help. Because everyone now, or very soon, will really be out looking for business. And so how do you differentiate yourself from all the other players that are offering these super competitive rates, dates, and spaces? Because everyone right now has lots of space, and they're all going to be fighting on rates. So I'll provide some overview, some context. Then Chloe will provide you with some real world insights, some observations from her association perspective. So business demand right now severely curtailed, obviously because of COVID. Destinations are scrambling to determine how best to create value now and in the future. So we at Gaining Edge suggest that DMOs, CVB'S need to ensure that in addition to lead generation and to bid development expertise, they also work to help associations deliver on their purpose. Now, a good place to start this understanding is why an association exists in the first place, and then building your destination's value proposition with that why at the core. Destinations that understand associations from the inside out rather than the outside in will be in a much stronger position, we think, to recover and rebound from this crisis. In a risk-averse world, which is certainly what we're in right now, building these strategic relationships with associations will have a longer-term benefit than those that are purely transactional, those that are just based on rates, dates, and spaces. You're being a solid partner, you're building trust, you're building loyalty, which can help lead to new and repeat business and a stronger brand reputation. And that's going to be something that's going to help differentiate yourself going forward. So what we're saying right now is that destinations should be sharpening their business development skills to ensure these critical questions are being asked of associations, and also help build and bridge this knowledge gap. So here's 5 questions we think are a good start to help CVBs gain insight into the association and to their world. So I'll go through these, in order here. So we think the first very general one, but important, is what is the mission and vision of your association? How can we help you continue to progress your vision now and moving forward? You want to find out the essence of the association, why it exists, what they hope to accomplish as a result of their activities. Associations don't exist just to meet. That's not what they want. They're created for an essential purpose. Conferences and meetings are just a means to an end for the association. Really asking about the higher level aim of the association and exploring ways to contribute to this goal will help create a stronger sense of trust. The CVB is not just out to sell, but you're out there to partner and to help build that trust as well. Second question is really, how is the crisis impacting your industry, your sector? CVB should conduct research and inquire into the impact of COVID on the industry or sector most relevant to the association. Now, this background helps provide a context when speaking to the association of their issues, of the opportunities they face in the near to medium term. Determining these COVID impacts, and there will be plenty, on the broader sector will also enable the destination to discuss implications on the association in an informed way. So you're talking to them in ways they understand about their issues, the pain points they face. Third question is really, how will the crisis affect your business practices, such as your meetings, your exhibition, your sponsorship, your membership strategies in the short and the long term? So COVID is forcing associations, forcing all of us to confront realities that will impact upon fundamental operational issues now and in the future. So CVBs try to get a better understanding of that association's current situation, and not only of their events, will have a better understanding of what really matters most to the association as it works its way through this crisis. You'll understand them much better. You'll have a deeper understanding in your discussions, building that trust again. And this is one of the most important considerations, will be whether associations that once met globally will now be adjusting, obviously, to more regional meetings or hybrid events, something we're all looking at. Fourth question, are you considering any adjustments to your events model and format to facilitate remote participation of attendees at your events? So remote meetings, much like we're doing right now. Deep discussions are being held in associations on how best to bring their members and their stakeholders together for future meetings. Earlier, CVBs have discussions with associations about what they might look like, what this might be, will really better prepare you to meet those needs. Destinations offer solutions that facilitate engagement remote along with in-person will be better positioned to succeed. Again, you're meeting their needs that much better. And the fifth question we see, fifth critical question of the association will be, how will your event program be impacted by crisis? Will there be a change of content to respond to new market priorities as a result of the current crisis? So as connectors between the association and destination, CVBs are in a special place to help source local expertise and knowledge that can enhance the offerings of the association's event. You can bring something extra to this event. So it's worth discussing how the current situation is shifting these topics of interest within the association, so the destination, so you can help find relevant people, relevant organizations of interest in your community that assist in being prepared, the association being prepared for these opportunities. So, I mean, that's 5 fairly quick, fairly simple questions that we think can help start that conversation with the association. Start improving your understanding, the CVB's understanding of what's really driving the association to meet, and can help become the beginning of a more trusting partnership between the CVB and the association to help differentiate yourself again on rates, dates, and spaces from your competitors. So before I hand off to Chloe, we feel pretty confident here, and we're seeing the results, and Chloe can talk to this more. It's more detail what we're seeing in Europe and in parts of Asia on. So we think associations will seek CVBs that have a firm grasp of their pain points and goals. CVBs can help themselves by moving to a better understanding of associations they're hoping to work with. When we see that finding there's a commonality is really the sweet spot of success, and should be given more attention during these challenging times when all of us might actually also have a bit more time on our hands, working from home, doing calls from home, things like that, to get into these more in-depth conversations with associations. We all have a common point of discussion right now. We're all going through this pandemic together. So that's really the end of my chat right now. Happy to take some questions after Chloe's spoken. So I'd like to ask Chloe now to talk a little bit more detail about what she's seen as the association's pain points and how some CVBs are really differentiating themselves to be more attractive to associations. So thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Let's listen to Chloe. That's great, very, very great inputs in here. We do have a few questions for you, and a few of them were already answered. So thank you so much, and let's listen to Chloe.
Thanks. Thanks, John. Thanks for that introduction, and hi to all the participants. You know, with the extent of disruption that the meetings industry has experienced and is still experiencing, there is an urgent need for the meeting sector to define and articulate its value proposition, its unique value. And the role of association meetings is a critical component of this proposition statement. So it's both an honor and a pleasure to have the opportunity to join this discussion today and to share with you some of the key insights from the association sector that I've observed, at least over the past few months, particularly here in Europe, but I also have some insights coming from the Asia Pacific region as well to share. So I'd like to pick up off from where John left off by giving you a general overview of where associations are currently at in their thinking. The insights that I'll be sharing are a culmination of ongoing conversations that I'm having with associations, as well as from the results of some recent industry surveys, including one from ICA that was launched together with the 3 societies of association executives from the Asia Pacific, from Africa, and from Europe. So on the whole, there's no doubt that the crisis has caused most associations significant and impactful short-term pain, mostly in terms of event cancellations or postponements, reduced sponsorship income, reduced membership recruitment opportunities, challenges to advocacy efforts, cash flow issues, and staff management or other more operational issues. So the pains have been real and they've been extensive across the entire breadth of the association. However, for the time being, at least, there is a general sense of optimism, albeit cautious optimism, because the crisis has forced a period of innovation and rejuvenation that has brought forth the clarity of purpose and enhanced relevance to members. It's also clear that the need to be focusing on recovery is driving a short-term acceleration of digital transformation, a long-awaited and certainly a very important shift that the sector has needed. And these transformations are happening in and perhaps because of the key pain areas experienced by associations, namely in their membership, their events, their sponsorship, and in their advocacy efforts. So let me just spend a few minutes diving a little deeper into some of these areas. So we'll start by looking at the transformations in membership that we've been seeing. Membership structures, value propositions, member offerings, delivery channels are all rapidly changing to meet the new realities and operating landscape. Associations who are managing to innovate are already seeing positive results in terms of member engagement levels, which in turn is reinforcing their relevance to their existing members and prospective members, including those who may have been considered previously outside of their traditional audiences. So the scope of associations is certainly expanding in terms of the audiences that they're engaging with. Now, concerns and doubts remain, however, whether or not this increased level of engagement will positively impact their renewal and recruitment figures in 2021. And certainly associations and industries and professions which have been most badly affected by the crisis are anticipating a negative impact on retention come 2021. And this leads us on to events, one of, if not the primary avenue through which associations have traditionally, at least prior to COVID, engaged with their membership. So what are the trends in association events? Well, the general trend that we've seen is that associations have needed to pivot their event strategies in the short term, and the anticipation is that there will be permanent changes to the way associations run events. In fact, 70% of the survey respondents intend to make permanent changes to their events. And for the most, this includes a significant shift to fully online or hybrid events. When choosing an event destination, the cost, COVID safety, attendee travel, time and location of delegates, and the technology infrastructure available will be priority considerations for event planners in the short term. They are also looking at support via no-fault cancellations. Take, for example, the Geneva International Association Forum, which has been rescheduled to September this year, which has taken this approach. In the long term, as they move back to organizing more in-person events, albeit perhaps smaller, more regionally focused events, the focus is going to be on how the destination could possibly help the association accelerate progress towards achieving its vision. So the terms in which associations are going to be assessing a destination's criteria will increasingly consider the long-term positive impact that the event will bring to both the association and the destination. In terms of sponsorship, I'll just talk a little bit about this. As sponsorship revenue, as I said, has also been negatively impacted by the crisis, with many associations reporting a decrease because of COVID-19. And there is a common shift, absolutely, towards associations re-examining the nature of sponsorship strategies so that they are less transactional in nature and more partnership or relationship orientated, allowing for a longer term trajectory for that relationship to develop. Another crucial component of associations, which I think is important to this discussion, is their advocacy efforts. And the data coming out of industry research provides strong evidence that associations who wish to work with governments during times of crisis must invest in ongoing productive relationship building with key government representatives during other times. And so how do these trends in membership, in events, or in advocacy efforts relate to what John was saying earlier around the role of convention bureaus in helping associations navigate this new reality? Well, the short answer to this is that convention bureaus need to consider how they can best help associations meet their short-term needs, be that event financial sustainability or event agility, sponsorship revenue, innovative networking opportunities, and so on. They need to be able to do that whilst also gearing up their capabilities to meet the increased focus which associations are going to be having on the long-term value that their events can offer. And so there are two questions that all convention bureaus should be reflecting on as part of a short-term and long-term recovery plan. First, knowing the pain areas of associations, how can your bureau add value to an association in the short term by helping ease some of these pains? And the second question, what role can your bureau play to ensure that the meeting will leave a long-term positive benefit on both the association as well as your local community and the host destination? Now, in his introduction, John talked about the need for convention bureaus to understand associations from the inside out. Why is this important? Well, the crisis has forced associations to reflect on their value propositions. And the fact is that associations who are delivering strong narratives about their vision and their mission, as well as those who are nimble and innovative, are those poised to come out strongest. Associations are looking for innovative ways to keep this renewed focus on vision and purpose at the forefront of all their activities, including their meetings. And bureaus who are able to demonstrate a deep understanding of the vision of the association will be those most able to speak their language. And it is this shared language that will be the defining feature of a strong association bureau relationship moving forward. But to develop this new language, bureaus, likewise, will need to know their own destinations from the inside out. You'll need to be thinking about how to become more strategically aligned to your destination's strategic development agenda. You will need to know what the strengths areas are of your knowledge economy in your destination and how you can leverage these strengths to meet the needs and priorities of your current or potential association clients. Essentially, what and where are the knowledge hubs, the business clusters, the networks of experts that exist in your destination? You see, associations and their members want access to experts, to policymakers, to regulators, the manufacturers, the educators, and so on, because connecting to these groups of professionals is how they accelerate towards achieving their vision. So if you can offer them an avenue to connect with these groups, you're going to be able to elevate your role as a convention bureau from seller to partner, working to support and further the interests of the association, its members, as well as your own community. Another question for bureaus, perhaps moving forward, will be not just about how you can differentiate yourself from other destinations. I think CVB'S will also need to put themselves into the shoes of the international delegate and ask the question, why would I travel to this destination? What added value will I receive? And what value will this event bring to the local, the regional, or the national community? And most importantly, how can I contribute to this positive impact? And this is where we move into the realm of meeting legacies, which will be increasingly prominent discussion on association agendas in the post-COVID world. From our projects on legacy development that we've conducted at Gaining Edge, including those from Meet Denmark, for the Sarawak Convention Bureau in Malaysia, or the Best Cities Global Alliance, we have a number of leading best practice examples of convention bureaus that have sought to differentiate themselves who have won CVB'S because of their ability to demonstrate how hosting an event in their destination will directly or indirectly contribute to the association's vision. And this trend will continue to pick up pace. So I'd like to close with you on one thought, and that's that association meetings are crucial to strengthening networks, to accelerating talent development, to facilitating knowledge exchange and creation, to stimulating business growth and inward investment. And above all, that they're unique in their capacity to stimulate the fertilization of ideas across geographies, across cultures, across sectors and disciplines, providing solutions to some of the world's greatest challenges. The convention bureaus that are able to demonstrate their commitment to supporting associations in achieving these visions are those that are going to be the most likely to succeed in a turbulent period ahead. So that's what I have to say for now, but I'll be very happy to continue this discussion with all of you. Thank you.
Oh, wow. These are very great information from backstage. And I love when, I guess, you, Chloe, and John also said that we are the shift here for convention bureaus is changing the way we do our bid strategies into myself, my destination, what do I have that is the best, into you association, what is that you need that I need to understand and to provide you, anticipate you with solutions for, right? So I'm gonna ask Eduardo to start with a few questions for Chloe and John, please, Eduardo.
Thank you.
First of all, thank you for your insights. I think they were great. I agree that empathy will be a very strong need going forward. Mm-hmm. Also, I have one triple question, if I may.
Triple question.
For you
triple, okay.
Yes, 3 in 1. Well,
good value.
The question is, how are you proposing, or what do you recommend to the Latin American CVB'S in terms of how to articulate those processes, protocols that are being made or instrumented by different sectors, by the transportations, by the airports, by the venues, because I think that is very, very important, so that the participant or the visitor can have a consistent experience from the beginning to the end. So that's the first part. The second one is how you communicate all those processes to the market in a environment in which everybody will be saying the same thing. We're safe, we take care of you, we are doing this and this and this to protect your health, temperature, the distancing. And the third that I think is also very important part of this question is, which players that were not there before, we have to put in the table to work with us, and not only which players as people or as members of the ecosystem, but also which assets now I have to put in the table for the new reality. Thank you. Sorry if it was very long.
It's a good question. Listen, maybe I'll kick off, and Chloe, you just jump in here. So I think there's a couple of things here. I think how you said how to articulate the protocols for different sectors. I assume you mean COVID-related protocols. So I think what we're seeing, the people who are doing this successfully are the people, in the CVB'S, who are actually acting as a bit of a connector there in between all of the different agencies, all the different people, and trying to consolidate that information and present that in a very transparent way to potential associations or participants. Now, if you're in that country, it might seem very easy to find that information out because you know where to look. But if you're looking outside the country, this stuff it's impenetrable for other people trying to figure this out. So we think it's very important, that's a very important role that destinations can provide, is being that single point of contact, if you will, consolidating all that information down into a way that just makes sense in an order that makes sense, simplifying it a little bit, if you will, because there's a vast amount to deal with. So I think that from one perspective, that's something that's very important. Now, how is everybody, do your second point, how to communicate to market when everybody's saying the same thing? Well, you hope everybody's saying the same thing, but I don't think they are. We look around, people aren't saying the same thing at all. Some areas are working together. So I said Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, they're getting there. It's very hard to say it's Thailand, Singapore, Indonesia would ever say the same thing, but they're getting close or closer. So I don't think that's actually the case. I think mostly everybody's saying something a little bit different. And I think that's going to continue on. So I think, your role is very much in helping to bring that together, articulate it clearly to market in ways that it's on your website, it's on your email communication, it's on your Twitter, it's on your Facebook pages, all those different, communication modes we all have now. I think it's important it's all on there and it's saying the same thing. Now, what players were there that, weren't there before? That's a good question. I think, we're seeing that venues have a bigger role to play in this now because venues need to communicate their cleaning practices, their technology for hybrid events, all those type of things. They were usually kind of, again, they're the guys that's dictating to us the rates and dates before, as we say, and how big the space is. Now we want to know is what's your HR, your human resource practice for people? Are you making sure we're not cross-contaminating between events? How are you cleaning between events? Those type of things. So we're bringing those in. We're bringing in airports now. Airports have a big role. So how are you getting your person from when they touch ground here through to the venue, via the airport, by the train, via the taxi, the bus, however. Because if there's a weakness there, it'll be pretty obvious when you're looking through. So you have to think about that whole travel from they leave their destination now to here. And that's what we're seeing people slowly get to. So you're having to, frankly, there's more players. You're very right. It's a great question. And there's a lot more players there. And we have to think about this from a holistic perspective on not just the event, but the whole trip and outside of the trip. Other venues are going to go see, as at night, they're going to go to a restaurant or go see a tourist attraction. How are those dealt with? The common tourist attractions. Do they have policies in place? We didn't have to consider this before. You just went to the attraction. Now you have to consider that. So I think, there's a lot more to think about, unfortunately, for all of us. And we have to be transparent about it because hiding information doesn't do anything. So I think, we all said about, what's happening with your COVID cases. Those are things we're seeing that, the more proactive venues have all that information being put up there. Everything you need to know from, the stuff we don't like, but you have to know about infection rates. Is there a flare up here? That's all being put down as part of the destination. So I think that was my sort of
Thank you.
bit on there. I don't know if Chloe has anything to add on that.
No, I mean, I think you've pretty much covered, the fundamental points there, I think, John. And from the association's perspective, associations are having to deal with a whole new world of unknown right now. I mean, the whole world is, but in terms of the associations, they are figuring out how to run an event hybrid or how to, think about what the world is going to look like in 1 year from now and 6 months from now, and what that means for their delegates. And so any help they can get from convention bureaus in terms of communicating that message is going to just be seen as valuable and helpful, and is going to be massively appreciated because they are looking for answers to questions that they don't have. So that's really critical. And the other element, I think, is in terms of, I think this is going to be a challenge because no matter where you are in the world, everyone's having a different experience of living through COVID. And I'm living in the Netherlands, where on the whole, it's been a relatively relaxed response. we're not wearing gloves, we're not wearing masks unless it's on public transport. So when we travel abroad, what's that experience going to be like for someone coming from Holland, which is very different perhaps from someone coming from Spain or even Belgium right next door, which had much more stringent restrictions. And I think that's going to play out that different, there's going to be cultural sensitivities just with regards to how people handle this. And I think that's an element and something that convention bureaus can think about. How can they help the associations communicate with their international delegates who are coming from all around the world, so that they have a united voice, that they are helping the experience be a positive one, no matter where people are coming from. So
yeah, I think that's a great point. Help, you know, and summarizes, we need to help make their life easier.
Yeah.
Because it's all new to us, to all of us. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Good question. Thank you.
Gracias.
All right. So this is one for you both, John and Chloe, as well. We know that a lot has been said around resident sentiment and getting to know our communities' expectations, and that our first clients will organically or naturally be the local and the regional visitors. But in Latin America, we may be, well, some of us may be a different kind of a destination organization. So if I am a private destination organization, a CVB, that do not count on government support in terms of funding, and my work and mission are focused on MICE and business events industry, I have always prioritized the big national association conventions or the international travel markets. So how can I now take this opportunity of the lockdown phases and not lose the momentum in terms of making these necessary changes and transformation needed for the new normal? What is this business model, the new business model, and what are the best strategies that I need to take action right now?
Okay. It's a good question. And as you said, I think it's going to differ a little bit across everyone. What we've seen is some of those places you're talking about, and we have lots of those that do not have government funding. Certainly all, like lots across North America, for instance, have no government funding. And what we've seen someone do is trying to pivot. Well, while there is essentially no international market right now, they've pivoted to as you said, as people are looking at more local, regional, they've pivoted trying to pivot towards being a destination or a center of information for the local and regional markets. So that's what some of these are doing right now in a way that to try and keep themselves obviously busy, to try and keep themselves in practice and what is going on. We're seeing some of that for some of these destinations. We're also seeing that some that have just decided that they're going long-term right now and are essentially strategizing and spending a lot of time doing what Chloe and I have talked about, is building these networks, building these partnerships, this collaboration with international associations, with the international market, so that when it does open up, they are the person best placed to capitalize on that opening up. I don't think anybody's sitting there, or hopefully not sitting there, just hoping for business to occur as it used to be, because looks like that's going to be a little while coming, to say the least. So that's what we're seeing. There's probably two ways to summarize. Some of them are trying to pivot towards a more local and regional thing, which is a whole new business for them, with a whole bunch of new challenges and how to communicate to your local market on what you provide, to your regional market, and what do you bring to that, because you've never had to do that before. So we're looking at different ways, different marketing channels, different sales channels. The others are saying they're going to keep with this long-term international focus, scale down, frankly, in lots of areas of their operations that they can't support right now or won't support, and are driving that long-term strategy, looking towards international business events. So I think those are the two we're seeing. There's probably one's functioning somewhere in between as well.
Good, that's a good one. Would you like to add something to that, Chloe?
I'm not sure I can. I'm just thinking about, John's mentioned a lot there about communicating value of events. And this is a real big challenge for convention bureaus, because generally the industry isn't looking at how they're not measuring the value of events. So I think this is a really big obstacle right now, where we can talk a lot about meeting legacies. I love talking about the importance of meeting legacies. Demonstrating the actual value in terms of dollar marks is almost impossible right now. So maybe there's an opportunity there for the industry to be thinking again long-term, and maybe reflecting or looking retrospectively at some of their business meetings that have brought value, and looking to collect case studies and maybe form partnerships with local institutions that could help them perhaps start actually measuring the value of their events. Because if they have the figures, they can then go to their various investors, what have you, and seek additional funding. And I think this will be an important, perhaps part of the equation moving forward. If we want to be moving towards discussing long-term value, we need to start coming up with measurement, and that's a big investment of time and resources as well. But it can pay back, and it will pay back if and when meetings are able to demonstrate value on local communities. So I think there's a big question mark there as well to be discussed further.
I think that's a really good point, Chloe. You just actually made me think of something else. You know, articulating the value of events is yet more important than it ever was before, because there's actually now business events become with some negative connotations around safety, because we're seeing, you know, people are concerned about COVID being introduced back into their market via people coming from other places. It's something we never considered before, at least not in any real way. And that's now, I think, makes that value proposition, articulating that, yet more important, because there is now a negative offsetting discussion to be had anytime we talk about an international event, which we never had to consider before.
Yeah, and not just in terms of the COVID risks, but people are now talking about the cleaner air and the lack of the less pollution and all of that. And so these are all positive things, but it's true. It means that the need to communicate the values taking on a whole different level. And that's where measurement becomes critical at this point, because meetings are important. They do generate, I mean, I talked about some of the key benefits that they bring to local communities, but we need to be able to measure that.
Yeah. Absolutely, guys. If we don't measure our real value of the industry, we can't do our advocacy effectively. And this is why we are partnering with Gaining Edge again for these pro bono activities and project, right? One of the topics is exactly that one. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it to Anna now. Do you have a question, Anna? Sure.
Hola, thank you. This is extremely interesting because not only are you extremely upbeat, this is something that we all need in our regions. We are not going through perhaps the strongest times in terms of business, but indeed these are the strongest times in terms of preparedness and being totally empathetic. So I have really enjoyed listening to your views as to how do you go to be as responsible as you can with a very empathic preparation. So having said that, it's very good to hear how are you witnessing the opening of other markets. We are in a region that our governments are still not open. We are like, it's a juggling. How do you take care of your community of members in bureaus? How do you keep top of mind with your clients outside? And yet, how do you speak to your community about the importance that you need to keep talking to your clients? So that preamble to ask you, we're not ready to open. Some of us, we don't even know when the airports are going to open. It is beyond our control. What could be, in your recommendation, 1 or 2 suggestions on areas to concentrate? Chloe and John, we really enjoyed the value and all that you presented, but if we need to land opportunities for our bureaus right now, is with what we have on our hands right now, what can we be doing? This balance that we need to do in our region as to taking care of clients and taking care of our community. Suggestions?
Yeah, you know, what to concentrate on, that's a tough one.
Sorry.
So I think this, you know, and I probably repeat myself a little bit on some of these things. You know, I think a key thing to concentrate on right now is being very clear in communication with all your clients, transparent, because people figure things out. So, you know, we can't put a nice beating on the sweet, or whatever you want to call it, coating on something, but be very transparent about what you're saying. This is the situation in our country. This is what we're trying to do. So, I think that's taken, everybody's trying to do that. So I think that's one, I think we're seeing the other thing I've put is also is going through, everybody's looking at their databases of contacts, because again, we've got the time, built, updating that, refreshing that, making those communications right now with people. We're all going through this as well in our business, in our company. We spend an enormous amount of time over the last 3 months going through that, checking in with all of our clients, seeing just what they're doing. Part of that, you said that empathy, but we are all going through this together. So we're trying to find out what's going on, a little bit on, what their pain points are, but also just what's happening in their day. So I think those are things we can do while we're, again, locked down. And I think something that we're seeing, some of the, again, more proactive destinations, venues doing is reconnecting more with their community, especially the ones that, as I said to Brad's question, the ones that were more outward looking, more international, sort of essentially diversifying themselves a little bit towards a slightly more local or regional aspect. So building up that part of their database, which they may have never had before, those contacts they may have never had before. So, you can only do what you can do right now when you're stuck in your house. And that's it. And I think, but also looking forward. So we're spending some time working with some of the other agencies on, this is the phrase new normal, but it is going to be, at least for the next foreseeable future, things are going to be different. How is that going to change what you do as a CVB or a destination? So if you're not going to be looking at international, you're looking local and regional. What's the impact of that on your staffing, on your funding? So we're working with some of those. Do we need to streamline? Do we need to repurpose people that were doing this to be doing something else now? So we're spending some time working through with some of our clients those type of things, because they're going to the same thing. They're going, we're not going to be operating as normal. So we need to change our sales element to be focusing on this area and talking to these people. So that might mean we need different resource, less or new, I don't know, but it's all those type of things we're looking at. Essentially everything's on the table right now for discussion, which is powerful and can be great. It's also scary. So we're helping people try and make informed decisions about that. A lot of that, to making that informed decisions, things you can do right now, and Chloe touched on, is figure out your metrics. So benefits that you brought before, you hopefully bring again. You can start making that, articulating the benefits you bring, which will help, again, both with funding, depending on whether it's private or government. These are all important things you're going to make. You can't just go and say, I want more money, but you go say, I want funding because you give me that funding, it'll bring these benefits. So again, it's about taking that time and being prepared for things you can do right now. That's the research you can do. You can look at your agency. How can we restructure our agency to do something more effective, and how we know it's going to be for the next 6 months or 9 months. The change doesn't have to be forever, but you may need to change a little bit over the next few months. That's sort of, at a high level, I think what we can be doing, not generalizing, but yes.
Thank you, John. Chloe, anything from your part? Obviously, you are an association guru, and your comments are very, very welcome. But while we can reach out to some of these association clients, anything that you would like to expand?
Well, I'd say on that front, I love the fact that I'm now a guru, and I'll just start off with that. I'll claim that. Well, associations are complex, and there's certainly no one-size-fits-all approach into any solution that's going to work for the association, more broadly speaking, in the future. So maybe this is a time to really get to understand all the nuances that permeate across the association landscape, and really getting to understand the directions that they're heading in, because this is all new territory for them as well. So there's going to be a lot of change happening across the sector. Keeping your finger on the pulse in terms of what those changes are, how they look like, will be, I think, it's a good opportunity to do that. The other thing, I'm not sure if this is really answering your question, but when I'm talking to associations about the challenges that they're having and thinking about how to innovate their events when they're going hybrid or they're online, and how to capture the value for sponsorship agreements or partnership agreements, I keep coming back to this thought that, well, I know that I'm stuck here in Holland right now. I mean, we can fly, but I'm not. But I still want to see the world. I still want to see what's out there. I want to connect to local communities. So what can the Convention Bureau do to bring what's very far and very remote really close to home. Because I think, particularly in periods of crisis where people are in lockdown, being able to feel like you're able to get out could be a really important psychological driver to keep people optimistic and positive and wanting to see the world. And I think that that's a human need to see, connect with people, to understand other cultures, see the world. So I think maybe there's something to be played with on that idea.
That's wonderful, Chloe. I am glad you mentioned that, because we've been talking quite a bit on how to keep this entire process honest. We don't want to hide what's happening in our communities, but we can certainly share with our clients the wonderful stories on how each community is helping each other and how CVB'S are helping. And if that is the message we can translate to clients, that talks about resilience, that talk about being responsible, and that talks about being prepared.
Build that trust.
And then that win the trust. So thank you. Gracie or Silvana, do you have any questions?
En este sentido, siguiendo... Claro. En este sentido y siguiendo la línea de Ana María, preguntar a John, ¿por qué apostarle a Latinoamérica en este proyecto de responsabilidad social empresaria, acompañando a nuestra asociación en la conformación de este nuevo Instituto de Capacitación para Latinoamérica, pensando en 3 idiomas, español, portugués e inglés?
John, not sure that you got the question translated, but so Silvana is asking, why did Gaining Edge decide to work with Latin America, and the challenging that it could be to face a project on in such a region that has like at least 3 main languages, official languages, Portuguese, Spanish, and English all together. And why did you decide to work with Latin America these days?
We just like to make things as hard as possible, so we picked
con nuestra asociación,
and with this specific association. Sorry, I forgot to
no, so listen, there's a couple reasons why. I think first off is that we've done some work with you guys and down the region, so we've got a lot of affection for the area. That's clearly one. Having looked around, it looked like that, you know, this region was an area that could frankly use this product. I'm going to call it this study. We did a bit of research on that with your help as well, and some other people, Paul. So that was part of it. You know, it's a need requirement. That's what drives this. Is we want to give back to the communities that we work with. So the key reasons, frankly, is the need. We felt there's a need for it. Education is very much part of our DNA. We do a lot of training, a lot of knowledge creation for the industry. So, you know, that was really the key driver for that, that we thought there was a need to help bring together the region a little bit through that. Yes, the language will be, you know, there's 3 languages, but we've done some similar stuff, you know, creation of Best Cities, which has, I don't know, well, it's about 5-6 languages there, Best Cities Alliance. We helped do that. We've helped set up an association for African executives as well, which not quite the same, but similar. We've got different languages across there. So we're used to working across multiple cultures, multiple languages. I have to profess, I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, so that's why, you know, we've got a scholar who does, and we've got help from people such as yourselves and other people who will. So, you know, we can work around language. Makes it slightly more difficult, but it's not insurmountable. So, you know, in summary, I think it's A, we have affection for the region. B, we felt that it would give something back to the region by educating, help the region be more productive, more effective.
And also the importance of these specific association that you partnered with, right? Chloe, you as the guru of associations of our clients that promote our meetings and events, working with some kind of association like ours, like Silvana is president of the LATAM associations of our CVB'S or DMOs or destinations organizations. What could be some kind of a tip that you have for us in specifically talking about the association for this project?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Maybe John, can you answer that one? I'm sorry.
The importance of these association for this specific project, because this association integrates all types of we are a multiple market association, right? It's not only the hotels or only the providers. It's a multiple view, a broader view of the entire region and the market.
I'll start, Chloe.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, sure. So I think, you know, the foundation of what we have to figure out for this mostly is what is our mission? What are we really trying to do? It's easy to start creating something that's going to include all these elements, but we've, as you said, very diverse elements within there who may have conflicting viewpoints on that. So the hardest part and the most critical part is us getting together with everybody and stakeholders and understanding what are we really trying to do and getting agreement on that. Otherwise, if we do not have that, we're going to have a fractured association, will not be sure what it's trying to do and will not be effective. It sounds like a simple thing to do, but I can rest assured it's not that simple to bring that many people together and get a consistent viewpoint. So I think that's the critical element, is figuring out what is our mission in a lot of detail. And we've got some thoughts on that, and as I know you do, but we need to work through all that. From then, that becomes our touchstone, if you will, for every time we're having a question about how do we govern, how do we communicate, in details, what kind of training do we want to do, what kind of impacts we want to measure, we will go back to that. What is our mission? What are we trying to deliver? I think that's from a high level perspective where we start with. Yeah, absolutely.
And at the risk of losing my guru status, I better just jump in with a final with a comment in terms of this having so many multiple groups under one umbrella, if you will. There's a unique opportunity for the discussion, for the narrative to advance, to evolve, and I think that's what's so important about having that type of structure, bringing together the different disciplines or sectors to speak in a unified voice is difficult, but it can happen. There are many associations that have a similar approach and that really add value to the discussions in the world. So I think it will be an interesting move to see how that evolves.
Good. We all learned after we follow the protocols and the curve is getting lower, we will be able to open little by little, like it is already happening around the world and in a few destinations in our region too, like in Cancun, for example. I'd like you both to share with us a few of the cases and histories you can find around the world that really catch your attention in terms of innovation, or maybe something that you would like to share with us that we learn from experience and don't repeat the worst practices, not to do things. So anything that you can talk about innovation?
I think in the response to the innovation has mostly been around people being open and talking and collaborating. I mean, there's themes are, obviously we've been on this theme has gone through all of our points, but that's what it seems. Historically, everyone has been, this is mine, I compete against you. And what we've seen is that the people who have been more effective in their reopening are those who've been more open in their discussions with, I'm going to say, competitors, but like some of them are complements, some are competitors, be that destinations within a country or across country. So I talked, again, about discussions around travel bubbles and around policies, procedures between Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. Those are countries that historically don't talk very well together at all. So they're having an open discussion because they realize that if there's a weak link there, that'll be enough to bring down the region. So the weakest link in that region will take it down. If Thailand has not figured out what to do, that will reduce travel to Malaysia or to Singapore or to Indonesia or vice versa. So they've realized that they're all in it together a little bit on this, which is not normal in that region. They're usually very much in competition or slightly aggressive or angry at each other. And so that's what we're seeing. That's, I think, quite innovative. I think it's quite a positive story to see how they're doing that. I know there's been discussions, a bit of that around Europe as well. So that's my good news story. I think I don't say that I really have a bad news story, unfortunately, to tell anything exciting. I think everybody's done a pretty good job of this. There's been some fits and starts in the early days where people weren't probably communicating the information what was going on, but I think everybody has learned that lesson, that the information will come out. People will be looking for this, and they are communicating for the most part, quite clearly. I think there's some that have been a bit slow on that, or hoping that another agency is doing it. So we're seeing some places like that. But you know, as we said earlier, I think the destination needs to take ownership for communicating that as you are selling the destination. You are selling. That's what you're doing. So I think that's part of your sales process is being open and transparent in that, and not relying on the Ministry of X or the agency of Y to do that for you, because then you're not controlling the narrative and you're beholden to them for information.
Good, good. What have you seen in terms of innovation around the associations you work with, Chloe?
Well, I've been really quite impressed by innovations within the association sector. I mean, associations are known for being risk averse. They've avoided digital transformation since the internet came into place. You know, that was it for them. They managed to get a website and then great, they're done. So, I mean, I've been really keen and eager to try and encourage that transformation of associations over the years. And it's always been a challenge. And amazingly, within, you know, in some cases, 3 weeks, associations have managed to put on a virtual event in place of an offline event. You know, if we think about some of the big international associations who have the resources, as well as some of the smaller associations, they've innovated how they run their events. They've innovated how they connect with their members, not just through events, but through coffee hours online, that they just host a Zoom call and they invite their members to come and communicate and meet and just chat. So there's whole new ways of thinking about what does it mean to engage with our members, and associations are finally understanding that it's not just about them communicating with members themselves, but really creating more opportunities for associations to communicate with each other, so that they're not having to go via the association, but the association is just a platform which they can use. And I think there's been so many positive developments in this space of events that, I mean, like I said, majority of associations, if not all, are convinced now that going virtual, keeping virtual events is the way forward, and that's going to remain a permanent fixture of their services, of their products moving forward. And I think it was high time that they did this anyway, because that innovation was just around the corner. Unfortunately, you know, it's come with the COVID pandemic, which has created a whole series of other negative impacts, of course, but this needed to happen. So I think it's been a positive transformation, and the results from associations seeing the significant increase in engagement with their members speaks volumes, I think, to how valuable that innovation has been for them as communities. So yeah, that's what I'd say on the association front.
Yeah, embracing all this co-opetition and the digital transformation, right? So Anna, do you have another question for them, for our guests?
Tengo la habilidad de tener el micrófono apagado y entonces me tardo. Sorry, Chloe and Joy, I have this ability of having my mic off. We've been talking about how to reach to clients, and that is very important. I was very happy to hear, I think both of you mentioned how some of the bureaus in some destinations have relooked how they partner with their local allies and with their members in terms of showcasing better the values and the benefits. Do you know if this information is out there public, or is there an opportunity that some of these examples could be shared? Mind you that in many of our communities, the bureaus are 1, 2, top 5 people working on them. And right now everyone is struggling on how to move with the members. So I was wondering if any of this information of is not rethinking, is reshaping that value proposition together with members, if there's any of that information that you know that it's out there public, that or is becoming a best practice that could be shared.
It's a really good question. And I know this sounds like I'm promoting, but I'd have to go look to see what's on our website, because like I said, we're doing this. So we've got a couple people who are taking all of the press we get on COVID from around the world and consolidating it down to kind of bite-sized pieces, because we don't have time to read all this stuff. So we call it the bulletin. We send it out about once a week, or 10 days. And it does that. Now, it has a fairly strong Asia-European focus right now, because that's been where we're seeing most progress, and also the best communication, I'm going to say. North America has not been communicating as well. South America, Latin America, there's not as much information as well, so that's being put out. So there is that focus, but it's not, that's just because where the information is coming from. If you provide us information, we will host that as well. So anyways, we link to that on our website. It's called The Bulletin, and we do it every week, and you can see these summaries on what's going on. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head if we have an example of that. I will take a look. I can email you back afterwards and see if there is, and you can send that out. I will look for that, Anna. I don't remember off the top of my head. But
oh, thank you.
It's been with discussions we've had for sure.
I'm just gonna do it quickly in Spanish. Don't worry. I will repeat some of. Yo sé, amigos, que tenemos traducción, pero nos
me
han
gustaría
compartido.
Entonces poder utilizar esta información. Me gustaría entonces poder utilizar esta información que nos brinda John para poder linkear todas las semanas en el newsletter semanal la información que Destinations International también vuelca a sus asociados.
Me parece. A mí por lo menos me parece muy bien, y eso era, por ahí era por donde iba. John, we get some of the information that you folks are putting together, and we think it's fantastic, and we're hoping that part of this new learning journey that we are promoting between Gaining Edge and our association allows the opportunity to get these links, and I believe sharing information is power. And it's the best way to promote. I agree with you. Some of the communication examples that have come up in Asia Pacific have been fantastic. Obviously, they have days ahead of us in getting ready. But this idea of retooling the way we speak of our bureaus, the way we speak of our organizations, and the true value that we bring to our communities, I really believe is of great importance. So if any of that can be shared, and as Silvana was asking,
we're doing right now with several of our clients.
Me estoy haciendo fotos.
And then we can Silvana, gracias a Dios que estamos en familia, porque todo el team sabe que los 90 que estamos en la llamada, sabemos que va a quedar bien bonita en la foto, no te preocupes. John, don't worry, they're taking pictures here, so we just made a private joke. Long story short, wonderful, and I'm glad. It's interesting to see how everyone is on the same boat coming out of this. I don't like to call it the new normal, our new reality in our business events and the bureau's industry. We have to re-articulate the true value that we bring to our communities, and this is much beyond money. This is abilities, this is knowledge, and this is bringing social transformations. And in that respect, I believe we need to start working on new vocabulary. So looking forward to hear of that. Graciela, sorry.
Yeah, I have a closing question. I know that was a great one. But I do want to ask you both one more question before we go to the final messages that has to do with what are the non-traditional assets that we should partner right now, understanding especially that we are struggling in terms of our funding models. Some of our bureaus do not have any kind of income from hotel taxes, and hotels are closed right now. And we know that around the world, most of the bureaus have their budgets basically funded by government and hotel taxes. So how can we partner with these non-traditional potential alliances that we can figure out these days?
Okay, that's a good question. So, we talked about earlier about how right now, certainly we see the transition going local, regional, international as people open up. We're seeing, at the venue side, we're seeing people partnering with local players. So we're seeing partners with restaurants, local attractions. So there's, events being hosted, a lot of these kind of more local events being hosted by venues. We're seeing also the destinations getting in on some of that promotion as well to make themselves again relevant locally and regionally, where they previously that was not part of what they did at all. So we're seeing that quite a bit up here in North America because the same issue. There's room taxes. There's nobody in the rooms. There's no taxes. There's no money. So we're seeing that type of partnering, if you will, with the more local venues, more local restaurants, things like that, to create a bit of a drive, a bit of a focus for that. We're seeing the bureau spending a lot more time talking to, as I said, I think Eduardo earlier, talking with the people that are involved in that transit, transient visitors from an airport or from their destination to your destination. So working more closely with taxi companies, bus companies, the trains like that, to actually get a consistent view on what to do, how they're going to do it. Whereas before, everything just worked, we didn't worry about it. We knew that was there. So we're seeing that. So, I don't know if that's completely non-traditional, but we're seeing a lot more focus on those type of, that type of focus. And to speak to Chloe's point, obviously with the move towards a more virtual experience, we're seeing a lot more demand from all aspects of the destination, from venues, from branding, from the destination, the CVB'S, on enhancing that digital experience, making that easier. So from both within the venue, both from promotion, from ticketing, all those aspects of making this a more seamless, probably a less expensive, I think, procedure or process right now. So we're seeing that. So we're seeing, people that, again, are being, so we're dragged kicking and screaming into the digital age, having to partner with those people and figure out who they are and understand that market much better. So I think, those are the key ones, but it's part of that, because we go local, regional, that we're seeing them talking to local partners, talking more with the regional partners before they go back to, hopefully, you say that their new normal or the normal, which is international business again, which we all hope for.
Yeah, think about all the customer journey, right? So Chloe, what about for the associations? We know and we understand that they need to keep hosting their meetings because it's pretty much how they survive. And sponsorship is not going to be a problem or a challenge, right? So how do you see this new funding model for the associations?
Well, associations are needing to totally innovate their funding models. Associations that have been primarily dependent on event income to sustain their association, they're the ones at highest risk right now, particularly depending on how long the travel restrictions remain in place, but also how long public, depending on the public confidence levels that we'll see kind of evolve over the next 6 to 12 to 18 months. So associations have had to really reflect on not just their event models, but their membership models, their sponsorship strategies, really looking to diversify their revenue streams so that they're not so dependent on one or two sources of income. In terms of sponsorship, that's really looking at, rather than looking at a sponsor as a sponsor for one event and then that's done and they get some advertising at the event, what and how will that relationship look like as part of a longer term strategic partnership? So how is the sponsor aligned to its vision and mission? And how can the association also bring value to the sponsor itself so that there's a mutual dependency on that relationship to work? And so that's going to be looking far beyond just the event in itself. It's really looking at a program of activities, of engagement that's really going to deepen the relationship, make it much more evident what the value is of engaging with the particular sponsors. And then I think the other thing is, I mentioned earlier, associations are looking much broader than where they traditionally were working in terms of their audience. And the same will go for the sponsors that they engage with. I think now's the time for them to be looking for sponsors that they may not have considered previously as potential sponsors or partners. They have to be looking outside of that traditional sector, not just because there's opportunity there, but because it's maybe some of those players who have the solutions, who have the answers to the questions that they don't have right now the answers to. So really looking to expand their stakeholder mapping exercise is going to be critical right now to associations, and they are doing that. They're moving in that direction. They're looking to work with sponsors in a much more holistic way and not in such a transactional approach as what was the norm before.
Yeah, I guess the norm now is this holistic view, right?
Sorry, I was just going to add to that from the destinations perspective, what we're seeing also, because as you rightly pointed out, they're struggling because there's no room tax right now. We've seen a fair bit of interest in CVB'S, destinations, looking at how they can potentially diversify their funding model from just room tax. So we talked earlier about having metrics for proving your value around be it economic development or legacy. So we're seeing some of the destinations now are putting that type of process together, progress together, and going to talk to governments, going to talk to other stakeholders to see if they can secure different lines of funding to help diversify their operations, because they're seeing, as we all know now, there's no money, there's very little money coming in because of the room tax. Meaning with some success in certain places, less in others, but that's something that certainly some destinations are looking at.
Sure, absolutely. Well, guys, it's been a great day today, learning from you. Thank you. It was awesome, but I'll let Silvana now with the final words. Silvana, si quieres hacer el cierre o pedirles un mensaje final, como quieras.
Muchísimas gracias, Chloe. Muchísimas gracias, John. Para nosotros es un honor contar con su participación y que nos brinden sus conocimientos, su experiencia, y sobre todo para los burós de Latinoamérica que hoy tienen que enfrentar muchos desafíos vinculados al financiamiento, a nuevas estrategias, a innovación. Es decir, que para nosotros ha sido muy nutritivo toda la información que ustedes nos han brindado. Agradecerles, para mí un honor, por eso me veían sacando fotos, porque no puedo dejar de hacer un par de selfies para poder publicar en redes, tener el honor que la gente que Gain and Each nos acompañen hoy en este conversatorio, es realmente brillante, es maravilloso. Así que bueno, muchas gracias. Recordarles a todos la convención anual que mañana, 14 y 15 de julio, Destinations International nos brinda para poder acompañarlos con infinidad de conocimientos de los grandes destinos internacionales, estos que tienen financiamiento pensando en la grandeza de los destinos. Recuerden que han previsto la traducción simultánea del inglés al español para poder conectarnos y poder participar de todas las actividades que Destinations International ha pensado para todos sus asociados, y los costos de inscripción tienen que ver con el valor de los miembros y tenemos ese beneficio por ser miembros de la Asociación de CVB'S de Latinoamérica y el Caribe. También recordarles nuestro próximo conversatorio. Les pido a Maxi el video, por favor. Gracias.
Buenos días, soy Nayo Escobar y te quiero invitar el próximo 20 de julio a las conferencias que está dando el Burós de Latinoamérica, donde estamos celebrando el Día de la Amistad y hablaremos sobre crisis y cómo adaptarnos. ¿Estás listo? Te esperamos.
Gracias a todos quienes participaron. Tuvimos más de 114 participantes, destinos de distintos países de Latinoamérica y el Caribe. Gracias, Chloe, gracias, John, gracias, Ana María, gracias, Eduardo, que tuvo que salir a una reunión que tenía con carácter de urgente, y gracias, Graciela, por hoy acompañarnos. Nos estamos viendo el próximo lunes. Les doy un minuto para que cada uno pueda despedirse y así ya podemos cerrar con la presentación de Destinos este conversatorio.
Buenas tardes a todos y feliz semana.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Chloe, for sharing all your knowledge and experience. I hope you got the translation for what Silvana was saying. Well, we are all very honored. It's a great pleasure to have you guys with us today. Thank you for your time. It's such challenging times for everybody, so thank you for donating a little bit of your experience with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bueno, gracias a todos. Nos vemos el próximo lunes. No se lo pierdan, celebrando el Día Internacional de la Amistad entre los destinos latinoamericanos y del Caribe. Muchas gracias. Los vemos el próximo lunes. Hasta luego.
Chao, John. Chao,
Gracias
Chloe.
a todos.
Bye.
Chao.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Chao. Thank you.